Welcome to Momentum's virtual training series, where we invite expert facilitators to share their knowledge on topics that advance women in leadership.
And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Z, Dr. Grant Zarzor. Thank you for being here with us, talking about how we can have a better life and have more longevity.
No, thanks for having me, Darla, and the whole team. Sarah Kay is with me today too. I know she's a graduate of the program. She's going to be helping me with the chat. So we want lots of questions in the chat. My goal is to speak for a little while, but we love the questions are the best part. So, but what my goal is today is to give you at least 3 steps that you could take from this lunch. And if you never see me again, this is the way you could really change the trajectory kind of toward a healthier health span, as we like to call it. So we're going to get going and dive in, but please feel free to use the chat with any questions you may have.
And I
Is
want to
my screen?
interject real quick right now. Also, we'll be sending out a summary of everything that we're talking about today. So you'll get that in an email today from us. So if you do feel like, oh, I didn't get to take enough notes, we'll be sending that back out to you. So I just want to let them know that so they can pay attention to you today and also not be
Right.
afraid, oh my gosh, I forgot what he said. We got you covered.
Right, absolutely. All right, my screen is sharing okay with you, I hope, and perfect. We're going to keep going here. So a few of the things we're going to cover. Why am I talking to you? Kind of the reason I am involved with proactive preventative care. Those takeaways. Talk to you about picking the right doctor. Some hacks to lower your risk of dementia. If you aren't concerned about dementia, you should be. And I mentioned we're going to talk about weight loss. We are. And then I'm going to tell you what supplements I take. I think that's a big question mark is, okay, you're saying all this stuff. What do you actually put in your body? And there's a much bigger list of things I don't take. We kind of slide toward the natural side, but we'll see as we keep going. This is just some background on me. This is my beautiful bride, and I have a boy and 3 girls, but I'm in Mobile. I did 5 joint replacement surgeries this morning. I run the largest orthopedic group in Alabama. Southlake is our division in Birmingham. If you've heard of Southlake Orthopedic, and we have Gulf Orthopedics in Mobile and Anniston. Involved with a few other things, but the big reason that I kind of switched and kind of added reactive care is orthopedics. You know, when you have a problem, I'm going to fix your arthritis. But the proactive care piece is I've become real passionate about. And there's several stats out there, but I'll tell you one take-home stat. And Dr. Alstead, who is the head of geroscience at UAB, said your genetics determines 18% of your destiny. 82% is how you treat your body. I think a lot of us think, oh, my dad had a heart attack at 70, so I'm going to have a heart attack at 65. Just nothing I can do about it. That's not the case. There are a whole lot of things we can really do to lead down a really healthy path. And, you know, my son Wyatt, who's 10 now, but when he was born a few years later, had some healthcare challenges. And we were kind of told by traditional doctors it was going to be a tough road. And my wife and I just decided to pursue every path we could with supplements and preventative health, and making sure we exhausted talking to all the medical professionals we could. And we've kind of seen firsthand what can happen when you focus on diet, sleep, exercise, and then preventative imaging and labs. So the company I started is a longevity company, helps people across the country. But in one sentence, what the company focuses on is lowering people's risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia, based on data and science, not snake oil and Instagram. So I have lots of friends that tell me, oh, they know everything about medicine now, and that they went to medical school at Joe Rogan Podcast University, and they just think they're experts now. So we're certainly gonna keep everything anchored in data and science. Here are the 3 main takeaways that we're going to talk about. Public enemy number 1. Many of you are just, I'm sure, young and not worried about cardiovascular disease. Well, it's starting to build up in your body now, and the earlier we think about it, the better. And then I'll tell you, people think my talk is always about you got to be perfect 7 days a week, no more alcohol, no more hamburgers. No, not true. We'll tell you that your goal is 5 days out of the week to be good, but the other 2 days, War Eagle and Roll Tide. Okay, you still have to live, and that leads into what do these super agers all have in common, and I'll share that data with you. And then there's one cancer that is really easy to lower your risk of. The problem is that it's the #1 killer of Americans 50 and younger. If you know what cancer that is, I want you to put it in the chat and tell me before I announce it. But you probably have some good guesses, and Tara is already right. Colon cancer, Tyler got it as well. We 3 for 3, Marlene as well. So colon cancer, #1 killer, but we should not be dying of colon cancer. I'm going to show you the steps you need to take. Just some hot topics to interject with. I think probably most of you know the difference between lifespan and health span. Your lifespan is the number of years you're on the planet. Health span is the number of years you're on the planet and you're healthy. The average American health span ends around 65, and you spend 14 years circling the drain till about 79. We'd really like to change that. The goal, in my opinion, is you should live to be 85 or 90 and healthy. My grandfather cut the grass the day before he passed away at 88. It just kind of shows you that's the kind of vibe we're looking for. We're not trying to get you to live to be 200. It's just, that's not our goal. That Brian Johnson guy, you've probably seen him. He's crazy, the things he's doing. He's using kind of his body as a laboratory. Data and science are going to be our North Star. But we want to maximize that health span, because I have so many patients in my orthopedic clinic that say, I'd give anything to be able to go back and have my mobility, have my quality of life, be able to run around with kids and grandkids. And their #1 North Star is not money, it's health. And so we're just going to focus on that a little bit today. Mental health, many of you, I've seen some of the companies you work at, large employers. Mental health is a problem across the board. I'll tell you the #1 mental health treatment on the planet is better sleep. It's way more efficacious than Zoloft or any medication, and better sleep goes hand in hand with exercise. The natural endorphins and things that you produce way outproduce what an antidepressant can do. Are there any medicines that can extend the health span? There are a few. We'll go over them, and I'll share them with you. A lot of you know these items here. Health insurance is becoming a big problem because we are a reactive care country. We have insurance that's great for sick care. We're trying to shift to be proactive care. And health insurance premiums are not going down for sure, but we want to help make a healthier workforce to help keep those healthcare premiums at bay. And this goes back to one of the earlier slides, but cancer is the #1 killer, #1 expenditure for health insurance for employers. #2 is cardiovascular disease. You can see #3 is orthopedics. We like that, so we don't want to. No, there are ways to lower that cost too. Surgery centers and high volume surgeons, but that's another talk. So today we're going to focus on those top 2, and then you can see as we go down the list, there's other ones that we're going to touch on as well. And as I mentioned, #1 cause of death in the United States is heart disease and then cancer. So we've set the table. We talked about the current strategy, not perfect. How do we pivot this strategy? And we're going to change it to prevention with data and science. Cardiovascular disease, let's cover it. #1 killer. All of you know you should be a Mediterranean diet or plant-based diet is the healthiest thing to do. You listen, none of us are perfect, and certainly not me. I'd love to be able to commit to a plant-based diet. It's just very challenging. I like meat. And so what our goal is to you to find the foods that really you enjoy and bringing them into your life more. Salmon is that big example there. And we'll talk about omega-3s, but one take-home point right now is natural sources of omega-3s really help lower your risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer. 1 serving of salmon a week with the skin, I want you to put on your menu. Just once a week, I want you to have salmon with the skin on. And eating a little salad before then really tees it up very well. If you know what this test she's doing on the treadmill here, some of you may have done it before. It's a VO2 max. And this is a 12-minute or so treadmill test, but it tells us the strength of your lungs and subsequently your heart's ability to pump blood through your lungs. And we're measuring the oxygen coming out of your breath when you're breathing. It's a tough test. It's 12 minutes. And the first 8 minutes, you're like walking, it's getting a little bit more incline. You're like, I'm crushing this. I'm doing a great job. And then the speed, and then the incline, and then you'll hit the emergency stop. The first time I ever took this test a couple years ago, there are 6 categories from like great to not great. I got the very top of the very poor category. It was very humbling for me. I cut out the results and put it on my bathroom mirror, and it has been a motivator for me. And I'm not perfect. I'm in the middle now. I have improved to the middle, but we love a VO2 max because it activates your internal brain. And there's one part of your brain called your amygdala, which is basically fear and emotions. And when you get that part of your brain activated, you remember it. And so seeing your score on a piece of paper will activate that amygdala and make you want to, because the single greatest predictor in all-cause mortality, if I can only know one thing about you, is I want to know your VO2 max score. It's the most powerful predictor. So fun test to get. Contact us if you want. We'll help connect you with somebody you could get up there in Birmingham. Labs and imaging obviously play a role. I'm going to tell you my favorite preventative imaging tool on the planet in just a second. Everyone on this call should have one of these every 5 years. So I'll show you the images in just a second. I mentioned sleep. We like to measure sleep. We love a Whoop band or something like a wearable. While you're sleeping, we want your body focused on kind of cleaning out your brain, defragging your brain from all the things you did through the day. And great sleep really lowers your risk of cardiovascular disease and dementia. So we're gonna prioritize that. And we have to measure it in order to know how you're doing. It's like you have KPIs for all your business. We need KPIs for your health. And the way we do that is we suggest you finding a wearable. Any of the wearable, Aura, Garmin, Whoop, they're all great. Anything that'll show you. Now, this is the most powerful imaging tool on the planet. I want you to write this down on a piece of paper. Darla's going to give you notes. Lindsay's going to get notes to you. But it's a CT coronary angiogram. This is your heart. And on the picture A is your heart with the vessels on top, coronary vessels. On B is just the coronary vessels, kind of deleted the heart there just to focus on them. And then in C is a cross section on a CT scan where you can see the bright white flow coming down this vein, this artery. And as you look down in the middle of C or toward the bottom, this white line going to the bottom gets narrower. And it's because there's some plaque. If you look in there close, you can see plaque kind of squeezing that artery. Well, when that plaque breaks off and clogs the artery, that's a heart attack. Some people are going to say, I've had a calcium score, Grant. I don't need this thing. Well, calcium score is good. It shows hard calcified plaque. We want to see not only the hard plaque, but the soft, uncalcified plaque, which only an angiogram will show you. Why do we like to see the soft plaque? It's your vulnerable plaque. It's more likely to break off and cause a heart attack, or it can cause a stroke. And all too often, the first symptom of cardiovascular disease is sudden death. We want to prevent that. We want you to know your status before. And, if you found out you had a 50% blockage in one of your coronary vessels, you would say, wow, that Mediterranean diet people are talking about, that exercising 3 times a week, that going for a walk after meals, that focusing on my sleep, it's no longer a suggestion for me. I need to really make this a priority. I think a lot of us think our neighbor may get cancer, our neighbor may have a heart attack, but it won't happen to me. Well, we want to find out the real story. The other point on here on the bottom left, you can regress your plaque burden. Almost every disease state you have in your body, I'm not telling you can cure it. I'm telling you can make it a lot better. And the secrets are diet, sleep, and exercise. You just need a quarterback to kind of optimize it. And there's some great ways to do it. So CT coronary angiogram once every 5 years because it shows the soft plaque. This utilizes some dye in your arm so you can see the coronary vessels like you see in image C. As I mentioned, I think several people are still joining. If you have anything in the chat, we're going to monitor that. And someone had a calcium score this morning. That's awesome. And is not covered by insurance every 5 years. I saw somebody on here from Blue Cross. I'm going to talk to them about it. Don't worry. But it's a really great preventative imaging tool once every 5 years. And my goal is to start getting it covered in the future. The Blue Cross person's like, oh gosh, please lose my number. Okay, we're going to go on to the super agers. So what do they all have in common? That they're social. They have great friendships and networking, kind of like momentum. Y'all coming together, it just activates the blood flow to your brain like a Christmas tree. And on a functional MRI, you can see your brain just getting all sorts of great blood flow. So that's another reason why we tell you don't be perfect on your diet and sleep 7 days a week and be a recluse and don't eat certain things every single day. You have to be flexible. 5 days a week, let's be good. But you still need to go to that football game. You need to drink that beer. I tell people when I play golf, a whiskey front comes through and stalls on my foursome. And I just can't help it. So we have to still be real. And I'll tell you, women are much better at men than in a lot of things, but especially friendships. And so for the men on the call, and for those of you who have spouses that are males, I want you to encourage them to prioritize their friendships because men aren't nearly as good at doing that. So they need to get that friendship base because it really makes your brain younger. And you can actually measure your brain size. This is a cool brain age MRI. This would be another cool test to do once every 5 years, not every year, but it's just a brain MRI. But there's an overlay where it matches the size of your brain to other people your age and tells you how you're doing. You talk about a motivator. If I told you your brain was 5 years older than your birth date, your amygdala is going to kick in high gear going, oh man, I don't want an older brain. I don't want to be pushed around in a wheelchair. I want to stay young. Well, here are 2 examples of 2 people 40 years old. In this case, you don't want a higher brain age. We want a lower brain age. If you look at these 2 images, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, we want to be the one on the right, the lower brain age. The difference is, can you see that there's less black space in between the parts of the brain? We want less space. We want a bigger gray area, white matter, gray matter. And the other person on the left has a smaller brain. And what causes your brain to atrophy or get smaller? Lots of alcohol can do that. Poor sleep can do that. Certainly genetics can play a role, but diet, sleep, and exercise especially can really help reverse that. It's almost the same as muscle. You can work your brain out. And I'm going to give you a few things that are going to be cool things you can do. So a brain age score is another way to activate your amygdala. We talked about the cancer killer. This is the one that none of us should be dying of. This is the most appropriate acronym of all time in the bottom left, the standard American diet. And, listen, I love that cheeseburger. I'm just not having it nearly as often, is the deal. I want you still to enjoy things like that. But the reason colon cancer is on the rise is processed foods, high inflammatory foods are eroding the lining of our colon. And your body is producing new lining of your colon, trying to fix it, trying to fix it. Every time you're eating stuff that's not great, it's eroding, and we're trying to build it back. When your body gets tired and overworked, it can have a mistake, and that's what leads to cancer. So we want your colon to have less inflammation, less rebuilding, and more maintain the status quo. Your diet is the critical piece here. 20 to 25 fruits and vegetables a week is our goal. Different fruits and vegetables, mix and match. And I'll tell you one thing we're all lacking in our diet is fiber. And whole grains, fruits, vegetables are your best sources of fiber. Grant, I want to take a fiber supplement. I don't like whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. A supplement is better than nothing. I want it from a natural source, like that salmon we talked about. The bioavailability of fiber, omega-3s, vitamin D, all these things are better coming from a food source than a pill. A pill's better than nothing. And we still love pills. Vitamin D is my favorite pill on the planet. But I want you getting fiber from natural sources. And I'll tell you one example, like I love, you should get colonoscopies as indicated. It starts at 45, either every 10 years, 5 years, your GI doctor, your internal medicine doctor will tell you. I want you to do more than that. I like your diet being better. But number two, I have 3 colleagues with stage 4 cancer under 45 years old. Too young for a colonoscopy. No family history, no prior history, and healthy and work out, like all 3 of them. And, you know, there are other programs out there where you can go get things checked out and they'll make suggestions. Here's my next suggestion. I want a Cologuard once every 3 years, which is where you send off the sample. And yes, it's not pleasant. I'll tell you what's more unpleasant, colon cancer. So Cologuard once every 3 years, but colonoscopy still as indicated. So are there blood tests that are coming out for colon cancer to find a Gallery, Grail? There are, and those recommendations may change and it may be easier, but that's just what I do. There's a Cologuard once every 3 years, and then the colonoscopy as indicated. You can see on the bottom right, this is a polyp in the colon. That can be stage 1 colon cancer. You just plop off the polyp and move on with your day. It's a 15-minute colonoscopy. Stage 4 colon cancer is a much bigger problem. And so we want to be up to date on all of our testing. But the thing you can do each day is work on that diet, a lower inflammatory diet. Also, my favorite like probiotic superfood on the planet are blueberries. I'd love you to incorporate blueberries into your life somehow. Finding the right doctor matters as well. So, you know, this was me and my dad in 2003 when we got to operate together. My poor dad passed away about 10 years ago, too soon. But this was back in the day, us in the orthopedic suite. I was a student at the time, and don't worry, he was doing the surgery. But I just leave this in there as a picture back to him. But, you know, these are the type of things that I look at when I'm picking a doctor. But I'm going to tell you, the only thing you need to remember from this talk is the top line. How many of these do you do? If you're going to have a surgery by a proceduralist, colonoscopy, knee replacement, heart cath, gallbladder coming out, herniated disc, how many of these do you do? If your surgeon is upset by the question, run. Anybody who does a lot and is confident in their skills is going to lean forward and tell you their outcomes, their focus on quality, their focus on data. Ask them how many they do. Now, when it comes to a non-procedural doctor, like an internal medicine doctor or a cardiologist, well, then you want to see what's their familiarity with the disease state. You can look at their training, look at their fellowship trained in that category. All those things matter as well. So education really matters there. Proceduralist, it's not everything, but it's a big part. How many of these do you do? Okay, dementia. As I said, if you're not worried about it, you should be. The risk is doubling, and we've got to make sure everybody on this call has a lower risk. So we can. And the way to do it is, I'll give you the number one thing off this slide. You can lower your risk of dementia by 70%. 70%. If you do dry sauna 4 times a week, 180 degrees for 20 minutes a time. Birmingham has several. You could put these things in your house. You can change a closet or an outdoor shed. But the data from the Nordic, Sweden and Finland, where they dry sauna, it lowers your risk 70% because it dilates your blood vessels in your brain, trying to keep your body at 98 degrees while you're sitting in 180 degrees for 20 minutes. And it causes the blood flow to your brain to be younger. Your vessels get younger because they're more elastic and expanding. Dementia, basically over time, 80% of the time is it's your blood flow going down to your brain. We want to maximize your vessels, the age of your vessels in your brain. That's why dry sauna works. I'll tell you, my wife and I did one for our anniversary, and it's so hot in there, I can't be on my phone. So I have to put my phone down and I have to turn to Bree and ask her about her day, which makes me a better husband. We're saving marriages here. So I'm a big believer in multiple reasons for dry sauna. Infrared saunas, people always ask about, I got infrared, or what about infrared? It could be just as good. We don't know. The data is not there yet. So we're gonna basically mirror the data, which is 180 degrees, traditional dry sauna, 20 minutes, 4 times a week. Hot yoga is great. I think any form of yoga also is great for obviously stretching and core muscles, which is a great way to prevent falling and keeping your core strong. So that's great. 4 times a week is our goal. I'm looking through the chat here. Eating pastries, does it add to dementia? Sugar is the devil. I got to tell you, the caramel frappa mocha chocolate that people are having for breakfast is killing you. 100 grams of sugar, 1,000 calories. You can't lose weight for 3 days when you have one of those. So, and if your employees are drinking that first thing in the morning, I mean, I think people don't like to count drinks. They think drinks don't count. Drinks are the worst hidden form of sugar. And diet drinks, I don't love the diet sugar either. I don't love Celsius energy drinks and things like that. And I know I lose some people when I say this. I give my patients 3 things they can drink. And they lean in, they go, okay, certainly one out of these 3 things he's about to say I'm going to like. And I say water, and they go, oh, okay, water, plain water. And I go black coffee, and they go, oh, buddy, I hope I'm going to like the 3rd one. And then I have the audacity in Alabama to say unsweet tea. And they just go, here I come, Elizabeth. I can't do this. And I say, you can do this. You can retrain your diet and your cravings for these healthier drinks. And then it gives you more leeway with your food, but I'm just asking you to really tackle the drinks. Let me see. I think I got, okay, good. We got some good questions. More are still coming in. I'm going to try to go back. Oh, I got to finish on this slide. Here we go. Alcohol intake, again, 5 days a week, try to be good. That'll really help lower your risk of dementia. Also, if you like to drink alcohol, I'll tell you the best time of day, it's day drinking. The later you drink it at night, the more it destroys your sleep. So I'm not telling you to drink before you go to work. Not what I'm saying. I'm just saying Saturday and Sunday, I'd like a mimosa or a screwdriver before that bourbon at 9:30 at night, because that your sleep is ruined. But should you still do that sometimes when you're having fun? Absolutely. Hearing aids. Everybody in your family, if they have a hearing issue, they must get a hearing aid, because when you lose the auditory processing centers of your brain and your hearing stops, that's right next to the dementia centers. So if you have a family member that can't hear and doesn't want a hearing aid because they're embarrassed, too bad. You're going to take them. They're going to get a hearing aid. You got to take them. If you have trouble hearing, you need a hearing aid. They make all these great small ones now that are hidden. Lean into it. You need to be able to hear. Oral health. We're finding now gingivitis in the autopsies of brains with Alzheimer's. You got to floss. I'm like a dentist over here now. You got to floss. Gingivitis, we don't want it. Those little sleep buds in the bottom right are made by Oslo, OZLO. I have no connection to them. I use those at night. If I wake up one every 10 days where I can't go back to sleep, I put those little things on brown noise at a low decibel, and I'm back in the womb again in 90 seconds. Okay. It works great for putting me back to sleep when something wakes me up and I can't go back. Matthew Walker, this quote down here on the bottom left, he studied thousands of people with psychiatric conditions from bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety. Not one person was sleeping well. If we can improve your sleep, everything about you is going to get better. And so you got to start measuring your quality. The most important metric when you're sleeping is your percent of REM plus deep sleep. Those two together should be about 3.5 hours or more. REM plus deep. So we're going to measure that. I use this little wearable to do it for me. There's a number of ways you can do it. And if you want us to help you, if you have questions, you'll email us. I'll just show this as an example scan here. This is really cool. Brand new. It's a brain PET scan. Basically, it shows Alzheimer's, and it can do it 20 years before you have a symptom. And it's reversible. So the top is a negative scan. That's good. In the bottom is this positive scan. Do you see that red and orange and yellow in the bottom scan, those three pictures across? That's basically amyloid and tau, which defines Alzheimer's. I could show you this scan 20 years before you have symptoms, and you'll go, I'm going to make my diet better now. I'm going to do the exercise, and you can reverse it, and it'll drive behavior change. So that's everything that I'm a big believer in is we got to be proactive. We got to show you your data. I put this on here because this is what all my patients say. They trade everything if they could just have their health back. Okay, I told you I was going to talk weight loss. Here it comes. Buckle up. This is the most powerful weight loss tool on the planet. This is not a GLP-1. It's a continuous glucose monitor. You've heard of people with diabetes having this. You can wear it here. You can wear it right below your waistline on your back. It tells you your body's relationship with sugar. And if you want to test it out, just have that caramel frappa mocha chocolate latte and you'll see it skyrocket. This gamifies your glucose. There are 3 destinations of glucose in your body. Your liver gets about 15%. The other 85% is muscle or fat based on your activity after you eat. That's why going for a walk after a meal lowers your blood sugar, lowers how many calories you take in. So 15-minute walk. Let's say you go have a great dinner tonight at some great restaurant in Birmingham, which y'all have too many of, and y'all should share with me in Mobile. But you get steak, you get red wine, you get dessert. You're out till 9:30. I want you to go for a 15-minute walk at home. You're going to mitigate half of it. So that is a huge deal. Your CGM will tell you 1 month out of the year, not 12 months. I want you to wear it for 1 month, and then you're going to learn about your body's can you eat oranges and your blood sugar skyrocket, but then apples do nothing and you like them the same? Apples should be your preferred fruit. I may be the opposite. We're all made different. We respond to sugar differently. You're going to be shocked on some of the data you get from this. And we love partnering with a nutritionist to tell you what the data means, to kind of go over it. If you're doing the hard part of wearing the CGM, which is really not hard, for a month, we like to tell you about it. This is not my favorite weight loss tool. I'm going to tell you from an orthopedic standpoint why. Sarcopenia is muscle loss. We all battle muscle loss after we turn 30. Each decade, we're going to lose a little bit of muscle. I'm telling you, the more you lose, the faster you're going to have a fall, break your hip, and I'll put it back together, but you won't have the same quality of life. I want you to avoid it. The problem with GLP-1s is you lose fat and muscle almost equally. I don't want you losing muscle. And the other problem is usually you're on it for 11 months, you get off of it, you gain all the weight back, and the comorbidities back. The reason is we didn't change your microbiome. That's the 500 million neurons and gut bacteria in your belly. The way you change your microbiome is 25 fruits and vegetables a week for 8 weeks. That seeds your microbiome now, craving healthier items. Absolutely, do people have cravings? And they are very real. 25 fruits and vegetables a week is going to help. Are there examples of GLP-1s where they've totally transformed people's lives and were all positive? Absolutely. Absolutely. Full stop. But it's increasingly uncommon. More and more people we're seeing, they lost the muscle, they lost the fat, and they're trying to gain the muscle back, but it makes you anorexic. The number of grams of protein you need in a day, women, 100 grams, men, 150 grams. That's a lot of grams. Every woman on this call needs 100 grams a day. Well, maybe you can get 65 or 70 of your 100 from food. You're going to have to supplement to get to 100. Protein shake, pick the one you like that tastes the best with the lowest amount of sugar. Protein powder in a milkshake for breakfast, something like that. You'll have to supplement, but you can do it. Let me just show you this take-home slide here. This is an MRI of a thigh. 3 different people. The top, 40-year-old triathlete. Okay, Grant, we get it. If I'm a triathlete, I'm healthy. Look at all that muscle. All that gray is muscle. The center white line is the femur bone, your thigh bone, and surrounding it is nice muscle, and there's a thin layer of subcu fat and skin, that white. Well, now we got 2 70-year-olds in picture 2 and picture 3. Picture 2, look at all that adipose or fat. The muscle looks shriveled up in the middle. On the bottom, 70-year-old triathlete looks a lot like the 40-year-old triathlete. I'm not telling you you have to be a triathlete. I'm just asking you, where do you want to be between those 2 pictures when you're 70 years old? It's up to you, and it absolutely determines your health span. The strength of your quad muscles is a huge deal for your health span. So keep that in mind. I love doing a thigh MRI once every 5 years so you can see where you're at. Take home points so far, and then I'm going to speed through a few minutes because I want there to be more questions, and please put some more questions in the chat. Coronary angiogram. We're going to focus on diet for colon cancer. We like a Cologuard every 3 years in addition to colonoscopy. You got to be social, go out and have fun. Muscle mass is a huge piece of this deal. And ask your doctor, how many of these procedures do you do? And if they get upset, you're going to run. Call me, I'll tell you who to go to. There's an old saying in orthopedics that if you want an expert second opinion, just ask me twice, because our ego is not small, but that's not the case. We're really okay with second opinions. I'm going to hit this because I really believe this. The biggest area of neglect in the last 50 years in healthcare has been women's hormone replacement, or lack thereof, because of flawed studies in the 80s saying synthetic hormone replacement causes breast cancer. We now have biologic hormone replacement made for your body. You need to be measured for your hormone levels, and you need to be supplemented if you have low levels. My wife is 39 years old, is on hormone replacement. Had no idea. Had all sorts of symptoms. She's doing much, much better. A lot of people get the courage to ask their doctor, and their doctor says, there's nothing wrong with you, you're fine. Won't even measure it. You have to find a doctor that will measure these. It is very real, and women have been suffering for 50 years without proper treatment for hormone replacement. So I'm a big, big believer in that. On the other side, men's have to, if you go on Instagram, every male has low T because men are gullible and think, oh, I got low. That's why I don't feel the same. It couldn't be my diet or lack of exercise or I sleep awful. It's got to be that I have low testosterone is the only thing wrong with me. Well, testosterone is the highest at 6 in the morning. But if they go get it checked at 3 in the afternoon, of course, it's going to be half that size. The way to increase a male's testosterone is naturally diet, exercise, sleep can double your hormone levels for men, testosterone level. Also, the number one side effect if men go on testosterone replacement, besides it being expensive, is testicle shrinkage. And no male signing up for that. Just tell them that's what happens. And they'll be like, whoa, never mind. But the side effects increasingly are not talked about. It's just prescribed because people are trying to make financial transactions. So women absolutely get it investigated. Men, it can happen. They're about 10%, but 90% of men don't have low T, and they certainly could do something naturally about it. I'll send you this. Sarah Kay will help me. This is just an example menu for the week. I've mentioned some of these things on here, protein, omega-3s. I'll just tell you one thing on here. If you want to destroy your microbiome, just get on antibiotics. Now, if your doctor says you need antibiotics, you should take them. But when you get the sniffles for 15 seconds, I don't want you going to the doctor asking for a Z-Pack. You're destroying your microbiome. So let's focus on antibiotics when you need them. But your body is a healing machine. So if you get the sniffles, pump the brakes. Let's knock those straight for the Z-Pack, because 80% of the time it's a virus, which an antibacterial doesn't treat a virus. So antibiotics have downsides. We have some specific products we love. These are just 6 of them. Vitamin D3 is my favorite supplement on the planet, and the best source of it is Kirkland, Costco. Costco's got some great stuff. We know this, but they have the highest efficacy with the least amount of contaminants. I want you to cook with avocado oil on your stovetop, because olive oil, great for baking and salads. It denatures at 400 degrees. Your stovetop gets above 400 degrees. Avocado oil does not denature. Chosen Foods is our favorite. You see the protein powder. That's my favorite multivitamin. Creatine is great not only for muscle, but now cognitive benefit. 5 grams a day. My favorite energy drink is black coffee. My afternoon energy drink is green tea. And we have a favorite green tea. I'll send to you too. This is what I take. Crestor is a statin for cholesterol. I don't have much. I have a little bit of elevated cholesterol. My angiogram was good. That's the lowest dose. It's a preventative deal. I mentioned vitamin D3. It's great for your immune system, your bone health, your muscle health. D3 with K, great. It's good. Or you can have without K, K2. But it's great for your immune system. Creatine, I mentioned. Natural sources of fish over omega-3s. Dark chocolate, 70% dark or more. These ones on the bottom are ones I don't take. Could these be the future? I haven't mentioned a lot of peptides. GLP-1s are peptides, but BPC 157, growth hormone, they could be the future. They're just not the present. There's not enough data yet. So I'm not saying no, it's just too early. Let's see what the data looks like. So I'm not a big take peptides. Also, don't come take a peptide before you've maximized diet, exercise, and sleep. Let's do the natural stuff with no side effects first. Self-explanatory. I tell people investing in their health is like doing a 401k. The earlier, the better. It's never too late, but the vertical growth investment is the earlier, the better. And I want you to have time to spend this money you're earning by working. This is our last slide. I'm now going to bring up the chat. I see a lot of good stuff in here, I think. You can see contact my cell, Sarah Kay's cell, Sarah Kay's emails. Send us emails. We're going to send you a recap of this. Okay, let's see if I
There's some questions in here for sure. Oh my gosh. Thank you. This has been so informative and so very helpful. And thank you so, so much. I wanted to touch on a few of the questions that some people had asked.
Yeah.
The latest one was about magnesium. Now, my doctor has prescribed me to take magnesium, but what do you think?
So there's not a lot of downsides to magnesium, and there have been some good studies to show it does support sleep. So magnesium, I think, is great. It's not going to be something that has side effects. It's not terribly expensive. And there have been several studies showing it's effective. If you try it, take it, and it helps you sleep. I mean, my mom takes magnesium. So I'm pro magnesium.
Okay. I want to ask you something too. You're talking about all the 24 servings of like vegetables and fruit in a day. Is that
in a week?
During the week.
week.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
During the week. So we're also hearing that our soil is not as healthy. The vegetables that you get in the grocery store, even if they're organic, are not as healthy as they used to be because the soil is not as good as it used to be. How much truth is in that? And if it is, how do we know we're getting, if I'm eating all of these healthy things, that I'm really getting the nutrients that you're talking about?
A great question. So, farmers markets and local plants and vegetables are going to be great.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, like the fruits and vegetables I eat are not all from local sources. I wish they were, but I get a lot of them from Publix. I don't only eat organic. I eat some organic. Organic is expensive.
Yes.
But I will tell you that the improvement you're making by eating those healthier foods is so much bigger than a potential risk on the source of the healthier foods.
Mhm.
I would
Okay.
focus first on let's make sure we get natural, great, good source foods that we're buying. Forever chemicals are a huge deal, and they're in fish, they're in our water. There are filters you can put on your house for that, which we have a favorite that I can send to you. But you're right, it's a different world we live in, but we just got to adapt. And also, I, I will tell you, and I didn't harp on exercise, but exercise basically supercharges your immune system to attack issues and remove them. So let's say you were eating contaminated food. Your exercising is going to increase your ability to clear it.
Mm.
So that's kind of like your bonus on the test is doing that exercise. And just start with a 20-minute walk 3 times a week with your significant other after dinner. And then slowly incorporate it. Yoga is a great one. Pilates is great. Exercise bike is also great because it's real hard to hurt yourself. Treadmill can bang up those knee joints and hip joints, which is great for my day job because I do 650 joint replacements a year. But a
Wow.
treadmill is a little more unforgiving.
Okay. Wow, great. So this is a good question here that Chris had asked, that she'd love to sleep better, but she can't. She takes trazodone. Is there something else that's more effective?
Yeah. So with sleep, the first step is always let's see what the situation is. And so we have to be able to do some sort of wearable to measure sleep data, like the HRV, like the percent of REM and deep. And then we see what your situation is. And then we're going to connect you with a neurologist who specializes in sleep, which is hard to find, by the way. But what's real, everybody has a unique situation with the unique medicines they've taken before. Some people rely on trazodone to sleep, and listen, it can help put you to sleep, but is it affecting that deep in REM? If your deep in REM is really low on trazodone, well, we want you to sleep, but we've got to get that deep in REM up, so we got to find an alternative. So what time are we eating dinner? I'll tell you the best thing that really helps sleep is don't eat anything after 7 o'clock at night. 5 days a week at 7 o'clock. You should see my house at 6:59. I'm eating everything. But at 7 o'clock, I stop because if you give yourself 2.5 hours or so for your body to no longer be processing food, and when you sleep, the only thing it's focusing on is keeping you asleep and cleaning your
Mm.
brain, your sleep quality triples. So a big deal is not eating anything after 7 o'clock at night. But Chris, everybody has an individual situation. We want to measure it and get you a great solution after that.
Mm. So Marlene had asked, and I think she means the shingles shot. Does that help
Mhm.
prevent dementia?
Yes, there's some great data on that shingles, flu.
Interesting.
As a member of the established medical community, I'll tell you that there are some really great things about these vaccines. So the shingles vaccine, my mom, I make sure she gets the shingles vaccine because she doesn't want to be, pushed around in a facility, and I don't want to be going to a facility to visit her. I want her coming to my house, running around with my kids. So, yes, love that.
There's a couple of, oh, and I was going to ask about the alcohol drinks because we've also had another virtual trainer who is from the medical field that she said once she did a study on alcohol, she doesn't drink anymore, period, because she
Okay, yeah.
saw that even one glass of wine, what it does to your brain and your body. But I know that's a big ask of everyone. And I know you touched
Yeah.
on this earlier, but refresh us. If I'm going to have that glass of wine or that mixed drink or that beer, what is a good, hey, you need to put a boundary around this right here?
I would just tell you that again, I love bourbon. I have it maybe once a week. Certainly, there are other weeks where I have it more than that, and there are other weeks where I go 2 weeks without drinking anything. But my goal is 5 days a week. And what has changed for me is if I go out to dinner, I have one. not 3, or not 2. I just have 1, and I just drink it slow to make sure I really enjoy it. But that like 9:30 p.m. additional cocktail with dessert, I mean, your sleep is
Have been.
0%. So I'm not telling you to never do it, but that's the hack on how to have a compromise is I'm going to do an appetizer drink, and then I'm going to make it last, and then I'm not going to have another one. That's the compromise that I've been doing.
So I want to ask something that's very real here. What we're talking about is great. You can shop for good, healthy foods and things like that, do the exercise for all kinds of budgets. As far as like having all the preventative things here, honestly, it does
Yep.
get expensive that
That's right.
insurance does not cover. What do you
Right.
suggest is the best way to help stay on top, find a baseline on a lot of these extra tests so that we
Yep.
can stay healthy, but we have a limited budget?
That's right. No, I think there are a whole lot of things that can be budget conscious. So like a calcium score is an example of a much less expensive CT angiogram. It's not perfect, but that's more like $150 to $200. An angiogram can be upwards of $700-800, but it's once every 5 years. So maybe we could budget that in somehow. A
Mhm.
brain MRI that I showed, that should cost about $500. That's once every 5 years. But and also I'll tell you that things you can do at your house for the exercise. I love 100 push-ups and 100 air squats a day. Joan mentioned squats. Squats are great for keeping your muscles really strong. And then there's lab work. We didn't go over a lot of labs, but you can get some great information for your labs for under $100, and you only need that once a year. So it's about picking the right labs and having a doctor that'll go over them with you. I'm not trying to focus on Sperity Health, but the reason it exists is we couldn't find a quarterback. And so it is fun to be able to be that. But there are other examples of other companies out there that will help too. So it's not just us. We're not the only one. But you're right. It takes a compromise there. But I also want people to focus on, having a little pool for preventative imaging and preventative testing each year, because it's just like your 401k. And I'll tell you something. We don't want you to be 65, unhealthy, and leaving all your money to your kids. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't leave it to them. I want you to spend it with your kids while you're healthy, traveling the world.
Exactly. Wow, thank you so much. I want to let everybody know and remind everyone, we will be sending you notes from today, giving you more information on how to get in touch with Dr. Z and how to check out his website and how to learn more about what he's doing. I've loved the questions in here. You've taught us so much today about our health and how we can take better care of ourselves and an actual practical application of what we can do starting today. Or for some of us, it might be, hey, I'm going to start this tomorrow. But for the sleep, I can honestly say, I just wanted to say this too about the sleep, because that's been the biggest thing for me that my doctor had said, number one, they had already told me, eat early so that your brain can function on just rest. And the magnesium, the Epsom salt bath, if you want to take that, that does help relax your body so you can sleep a little bit better. It's not a cure-all, but the little things like that do help. Thank you
Right.
for everything that you've taught us today. You have just been
Wow.
fantastic, and we'd love to have you back again. And I appreciate you and Sarah Kay for bringing us into his world. Thank you for coming into our world too here at Momentum with all the women here. You've got a new fan base with us now. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. I'm very passionate about preventative care, and so anytime you need me, I'll be thrilled, because it's just a big passion project, and there's a lot we can do with start spreading some information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one other thing I would like to talk about that I appreciate you spotlighting a little bit was the hormones. Thank you for giving
Yeah.
us a little more updated information on that, because I keep hearing that my doctors weren't going to even talk about it. So thank you, because it's something that we do need to visit more, and maybe would love to have you come back and talk a little bit more about that later on a health panel with us. We would love that.
That would be great. I'll be there anytime you want.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being here today. I want to come back to I'm going to screen share real quick and get our feedback form, because we definitely want to make sure that we hear from you. I'm going to get it over here. Okay, here is our feedback form. Everyone, please take this feedback form. It won't take you but a couple of minutes before you hop off. Please do this so that Dr. Z can hear from you and we can too. And let me get this where it's going to be static. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you again for y'all all being here. You have been fantastic today.
Well, my pleasure. Y'all have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Momentum's virtual trainings are made possible with the support of Protective Life, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, and America's Thrift. Find the full list of sponsors as well as additional resources for women leaders on our website at momentumleaders.org. Thanks for taking the time to invest in you, and remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel. We love reading thoughts and comments, so you can leave those for us here too. You can also connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn by searching at Momentum Leaders.